And we are live. It's another great day on Cribl TV. It's just a great day to do another live stream. We are doing Demo Thursdays yet again. We have the amazing David Maislin here. David's going to show some demos for Search and Lake House. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really interesting. So, David, tell us about yourself. What do you do at Cribl?
So I'm a principal solutions architect here. These days, I'm on the search overlay team, which covers Lake, Lakehouse, and search, but I traditionally support all the products. I've been here about 4.5 years.
Yeah, it's a great, fun, very random fact. David was one of my SEs when I was a Splunk customer many years ago. So, known David for quite some time. So let's get into it. That's really exciting. So just for real quick. So what is Lake and Lake House? I mean, search is evident. You know what that is. What's Lake and Lake House?
So if you've ever dealt with having to archive your data off to like object storage in, let's say, things like Google Cloud Storage, Azure Blob Storage, or even AWS S3 storage, there's a lot of setup around that. There's not only the creation of the bucket and the policies and the roles and the IAM roles and the permissioning and the approvals and the long wait. Cribl Lake takes all of that pain away. It basically is S3 object store attached to your Cribl Cloud account that allows you to seamlessly archive your data from anything into storage for long-term retention, searching, and recovery if you need to.
Seems like that opens up an awful lot of flexibility. So is the data that goes into the object storage, is it some sort of proprietary format?
No, the way we send data to Lake is the events come in, you transform, you shape, you route, you reduce, you do all the traditional things that Cribl Stream and Edge are well known for, and you send the data into object storage in any format that you desire, and it's in a ubiquitous, clean format that you can use pretty much with anything.
So as an example, like JSON?
Absolutely. Any format at all would be fine. But
Yeah.
Lake, when you send the data there, no matter what the format, when the data is sent to the object storage, it is sent wrapped in a JSON payload so that it's easier for us to pull the events back out very quickly.
So I think for the average customer, the idea is that my data is portable. I can make it to what I need it to be. I'm not really concerned if my data is not locked up in some sort of proprietary format. I think that's the real focus. And does that make sense?
Absolutely does. Yeah. The ability for you with the click of a button without having to deal with all the credentialing and the permissioning and the wait, you could stand up Lake and send your data to various data sets that we call, which is like a collection of your data very quickly. And each one of those data sets would have its own unique retention window as well.
Yeah, it's just a great story. I recently did a webinar with Perry, and we had someone who was in the chat window saying, "Okay, I'm going to try this out," and he was able to get Lake and Search set up within about 10 minutes while we're doing the webinar, and he could see and he was running searches. And I think that speed, that utilization, I mean, that's the real superpower.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. I've loved the reactions our customers get because they also have the fear put in them when they're told, hey, you need to stand up S3, and they're like, I don't have any clue, I don't know what I'm doing, and they might not even set it up correctly, which is also very scary in terms of permissioning. What if you granted too much permissioning to your bucket or not enough permissioning to your bucket and other people couldn't get to it? Lake takes all that complexity away. And with our capabilities around role-based access control, you can pick and choose who can see the bucket, who can get to the data, who can search the data, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving people who don't necessarily have cloud skills the ability to create, configure, and manage cloud infrastructure. I think that's a great capability.
Yes,
All right, here you go. So you ready to do a demo?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Here we go. Let's share that screen. Here we go. So what are we seeing here?
So when you first sign up for a Cribl Cloud account, this is basically your home page where you have access to these 4 tiles that you see. If you've been an on-premises deployment of Cribl up to this point, you might see things in your console like Stream and Edge, but you wouldn't see Search and Lake because those are for Cribl Cloud customers. So this is the home page where you can easily get to all 4 products with the click of a button.
Very
So
cool.
from here, let's talk about what we started with, which was Lake. So if I were to have to do this in S3, first off, I'd have to know how to log into S3 to get to a bucket. This is what a bucket looks like. It's basically a collection of objects that are stored within partitions, folders, if you will, where you can drill down into your data. and see the eventual data when you drill all the way down here. And this is not the best experience. But in order for me to get to this bucket, to be able to archive, there's going to be needs to configure things. And this is where the complexity comes into play. It's not an easy process to remember. Many times there's dedicated teams just to deal with this, to deal with things like lifecycle retention as your data ages, moving it through various lifecycle rules to be able to make sure that you're using the most optimum storage for your use case and archiving very old data to the cheapest storage like Glacier and Iceberg, things like that. And once you're all set, you might also need to configure the bucket permissioning. And again, this is what it looks like, and it's not the best experience. You not only have to configure your bucket policies, but also things like this, like a trust relationship. So let's show you what that looks like within Cribl Stream. Within Cribl Cloud. You can see here I'm in Lake, which you can get to any one of our products just by clicking on products at the top. And here you can see that I have various data sets created in Lake. And I'm going to select manage. And you can see here that I have different lakes set up with different configuration rules. In order to create a new lake data set, I just simply select add, pick my retention window, call it whatever you want to call it like that, pick the format that is written out to lake. And if you were attaching it to Lakehouse cache for fastest search possible, you can do that, as well as accelerate fields that land in the lake storage. Once you're done and you hit save, it's available immediately. It's not only available within Lake, it's available within Cribl Search. It's also available across with Cribl Stream as well. So for example, if I were to go over to Cribl Stream, which I'll just do right here, products, Cribl Stream, and I were to select one of the worker groups, which a lot of you are familiar with, and data destinations, you'll notice we have Cribl Lake right here as a tile. I select it, and you can see right away you have my lake as a lake data set. It's available. You can add new destinations, my new lake, and simply pull from the pull down menu the lake that you've created and save it. And then you can use it within Cribl Stream immediately with your routes and policy pipelines and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is just too easy. Wow.
Yeah, so once things are configured, let's take a look at what this looks like. So within Stream, in this example for today, I'm using Cribl Stream's data gen, which is a great way to be able to test sample data with your samples, your events. And you can choose to generate events and also events per second. And once you have all of that configured, those events will just start appearing like you're going to see here if I were to do a capture. So there you go. Events are being generated, and I can use that within Cribl Stream, and it might look something like this. So I have my data gen, which is generating Apache common logs, and it is streaming all the way to Cribl Lake. I can simply select this and attach a pipeline, just like that. Select save, and now I have the pipeline attached directly to this quick connect route all the way to the destination, where you can see it's landing in Cribl Lake right here. And basically that's the setup. Now data is going to be generated or streamed in from a source, processed with a Cribl Stream pipeline, and sent out to the lake. It's really this easy to configure. So from here, let's go take a look at how it looks within Cribl Search over here. So you saw that I was sending to a lake that we called Access Common. If I wanted to search that, there's a couple things I could do. I could certainly just click search now. And what it's going to do is add this limit of 1,000 to it. And you can see the results of the events directly in that lake store that I was sending to. If you didn't want to show it as a search and you wanted to visualize it, you can simply select our new visualization button. It's going to analyze the data set, and it's going to show you different options for how you might want to chart out that data without having to understand search languages or anything. Very simple to set that up.
Is this Cribl Copilot that's over there on the right?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. Over on the right, this is basically visualization that was leveraging some of the Copilot capabilities to analyze the data set so that I could simply say, this is the one I want to use right here, and pick it, and then you can chart that within seconds, or you can write your own. So you just simply select one of these, and it will generate new types of charts at your fingertips. If you know nothing about search and all you know is you have this data set that you were given called Access Common, well, you can see right here is this Copilot, plain English, natural language searching. So I could say something like, I need a time chart, even if you don't know anything about the languages or what the proper syntax is for the access. I'm actually going to misspell it on purpose to see if I can challenge Copilot. So access common data set, something like that. And if you hit return, it's going to generate a search on the fly and run the search for you. It's that easy to use Copilot as well.
That's pretty cool. So is this search or is this lake or is this lake house? What's the difference?
So right now you can see I'm in the Cribl Search product. Again, every product is available through the UI. And search is simply connecting to various data providers, which is Lake is one of the many providers that is available within Cribl Search. And if you're just starting out with Cribl Search, you can see that we have this Copilot help button, which allows you to ask it anything or generate KQL, because we're built on top of the Kusto query language with additional operators and extensions from Cribl to enhance that experience. You can also get help here and begin a complete walkthrough of the entire search product, how to configure it, how to set up the different data providers, and how to do some basic searching, as well as review our docs, getting started guides, sandboxes that are free, and taking the university as well.
So just to make sure I got it right. So the idea is that Lake, Lake House, and other are data providers to search.
Yes. So when you use Lakehouse, which is an augmentation to speed up what's in object storage or Lake, then you get that performance. So Lakehouse is one of the many data providers that provides very fast results. And you can actually see right here that this specific data set I'm using is leveraging Lakehouse. And when you run a search, you can see that this search ran in about a half of a second. And this is just an hour ago. But if I were to change this to, let's say, 7 days ago, oh, that might take a while, because you're running this. But look, this also completed in under 1 second to chart out this time chart of this data.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and it just when I look at it, so that's a great explanation. The idea that here's backend data providers. Can you just also what are the some other data providers for search?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple places we can get started with. So in the walkthrough, it starts you out on the data provider. And what you can see here is object storage. We also have a unique ability to allow you to search Cribl Edge, which is our endpoint agent to collect data. So that allows you to run a search and hit a Cribl Edge node running on a remote host. And even if you've never sent the data, it will search the local file system of where that agent is installed. You can see here we have other blob storage and cloud storage from Google and Azure. You see Lake products, lots of different APIs.
Security Lake, that's neat.
Yeah. And we support the capability within Stream to send the data to Security Lake in the various required formats, OCSF, things like that. You also notice we have API access, as well as the ability to search other products, search products. Snowflake and ClickHouse is our latest addition to the data providers.
Wow, that's really neat.
Yeah, and simply selecting one of these and giving it an ID, whatever you wanted to call it, and just walking through this walkthrough will allow you to access this data relatively quickly. Let me show you an example of some that are already set up. So I'm going to go under data here on the left and select data providers. And I'm going to minimize this little helper right here. And you can see that I have many different connections to many different remote locations, including stuff that sits out on the internet, because we allow you to connect to an HTTP API where you can search REST endpoints and pull data back, like threat lists, DNS blacklists, mapping products like IPinfo, MaxMind, things like that. All of these different data providers, once you set them up, this is like the authentication. How do I connect to that provider? And once you set up the connection and you have the authentication and the credential set up, then you simply attach your data set to that different provider. So let's take a look at flow log data, for example. You can see here I have Google, I have Azure, and I have S3 flow logs. If I were to open one of these up, you can see that I have it searching a bucket, and this is the bucket name. And then you can see that using our time picker in search, we would immediately hone in on the path that matches the proper timestamp of the event and display the results. So let's start.
So why does that path matter so much?
Because there's a lot of data that sits in object storage. And if you had to scan the trillions of objects that might sit in there because you haven't partitioned it with time, this is a year, month, day, hour search, then it will have to scan and list every single object in that bucket. So data sets is a way that you can add specific paths to the data, multiple paths as well, or use multiple data sets to be able to get to that data and lock it down so that only certain people might be able to see that data in that specific
Okay,
data
so
set.
it's access control, but also performance.
Absolutely.
All right, nice.
Absolutely. With full support for things like this too. If you were archiving your data with products like Splunk, using DDSS or Smart Store, you can set up those to immediately access that older archive data from those products as well.
That's really cool. So, like, if I'm using Splunk Cloud and I'm using DDSS in order to back up my data, I can search the data in place, and I can do what I need to do. And isn't there something called replay, or where you could replay data out of search back into Splunk Cloud if you really needed to?
Absolutely. We provide both because there's different purposes, different reasons why you might want to search against the archive data. Maybe there was a security breach and you need to get to this data very quickly, but just a small piece of that data. Maybe it's by user ID or by the different index that it was written to. So when you search, you can get fine-grained results, summarized data, and then you can also, which we'll show in our demo today, send the data back to any different data lake that you want, including back to Splunk if you needed to recover from there. But you
Yeah,
can see the setup.
that's pretty amazing, especially because with DDSS, there's no easy way without using something like Stream to get data back out of DDSS back into Splunk Cloud. So, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, and if you were to search this, you just simply click search, and I'm going to change the time frame since this archived data to all time, and we're going to go all the way back to 2023, and I'm going to limit it to 1,000 results so you can see when I run a search against the DDSS data set, it's going to display the results right over here, which now you see them. There's your date. And this is what it looks like. Not too dissimilar to other search products that you've probably already used. You see your fields on the left. You have the events right here that you can expand if it's in a different format like JSON, nested JSON, arrays, things like this. You have your time picker up here on the right, which you can adjust. And you have your histogram here, and you have the ability to save these searches and schedule these searches. You can add the results to a dashboard. You can chart them out and things like that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So let's imagine, if you will, that you got the dreaded call that there was a breach and you needed to recover some data and you needed to be able to send that specific subset of data back to your preferred data lake. We'll just pick an example of let's just limit this to 10 events. We have a special operator in Cribl Search called send. Now, as you notice, as I started to type this, it automatically supports type ahead. So if you're in the middle of typing something, you can see right here the operator that's available to you. And if you hover over any operator in Cribl Search, you get to see how to use this data, how to use this operator. Further beyond that, you have help right here, which allows me to say, I want to keep this pinned right in front of me and see the different examples of how I can run a search and send the data back through either a default worker group or your preferred worker group or to an HTTPS endpoint on a specific port, things like that. It would be this simple to send this data. So let's show how that works now. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I
All
think
right,
this is amazing. The flexibility is really something.
perfect. So here I am back in Stream, and I'm on data sources, and I'm in this Cribl HTTP, which is how we send the data back through Cribl Stream. And I'm going to start up a live capture. So here, I'm just going to leave it running for 1,000 seconds, and I'm going to hit start. There's nothing here. But if I go back to Cribl Search, and let's pick the one we were on, right here, and just run this search, you're going to see two events appear here by default when I use the send operator. You're going to see beginning sending and then sending complete and how many events it was sent. And then if I were to go back to here, which is in Cribl Stream on the Cribl HTTP source, the data that I just hit the send through has now been replayed back through Cribl Stream, where I can apply the various routes, pipelines, functions, filters, and send the data anywhere I want, including enriching it on the way to the destination.
I mean, wow, that's great. I can see so many uses for this. So one question though, I can see two different sets of use cases where I have a small subset of data that I need to get out of my archive. But what if I have a really big subset, like I need to restore terabytes of data back to my main system analysis. Is this the right way to do it, or should I use like replay over into Cribl Stream?
Yeah, while this is very simple to set up and use and search for a finite set of data and route it to another lake or to a different system, if you're doing bulk replay where it's a massive amount of data, you would prefer to do that within Cribl Stream. And it's this simple to set it up. If you have some type of an archive like this, all you have to do is select run. And I'll just give you an example in our preview mode, and I'm just not going to pick a date and just select run. Cribl Stream is excellent at connecting to the archive data in S3 Object Store, including DDSS, all the formats, gzip, LZ4, ZST formats. And once I have replayed the data and I know it's going to work, I could simply run this again and say, let's go ahead and do a full run of all this data, where it'll automatically route through the routes and the quick connect and the pipelines through Cribl Stream, and then send it off to your recovery tier for the investigation to be completed.
All right, very neat. Hey, so let's go. Let's just show off a little bit more of what you want to do in search, because I think this is amazing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kidnap you and get you back on the stream again to show off this a little bit more. Let's see some of the magic of search.
All right, sure. So what we're going to start with in this example is some access common data here. And by the way, you'll also notice that I have my history and sample searches right here on the right if you needed to just get some experience with our product. And in this scenario, let's start with just searching that lake data set that I created earlier. And there we go. And within this data set where I just searched Cribl Lake, and you can see the path that the data rode to in Cribl Lake right here, we customized the path to make it optimized for Cribl Search. And you can see it's searching a compressed gzip file. And if I want to, and I'm just going to click on my history over here on the left to show you, now I can see all of the different types of searches that I've run today. I could say, I want to run this search. Now, because this search has already been run, it's cached local to the search leader, the coordinator that you're running your search on. So if I run this, the results are instantaneous. If I wanted to run it again from scratch, I can simply select my search button and we'll run, and the data is done. The search is done in 1.24 seconds because it is leveraging, as you can see right here, Lakehouse, which is our fast cache for searching.
Nice.
Now, sorry.
No, this is great. I just love how you can have different tiers. Like I can have the things I know I need this week in Lakehouse, the things that I know I might need over on Lake, and have different tiers of different tiers of performance, and also very different tiers in cost. And so it allows you to just balance everything out. You're not forced to put all your data in one place. That's great.
Yeah, and being able to set up and attach Lakehouse, like you see right here, you can also have multiple Lakehouses cache where you can send different data sets and from Cribl Lake and attach them to Lakehouse based on the size. Maybe you have, 3 to 600 gigabytes per day of Windows data. Maybe you have, 4 terabytes of firewall data. So you could create multiple Lakehouses. But you can also create one large lakehouse and attach multiple lakes to a very large lakehouse. The beautiful thing about Lakehouse is it's a very fixed cost. In normal non-lakehouse searching, you would have to basically consume Cribl credits against the search. And the more searches you run, the more credits you consume. When you attach Lakehouse to Lake, and what I'm going to do is click on Lake Home and show you that this access common, I've attached Lakehouse to this object store. Now, when I run a search, it's going to be lightning fast, but I can run the searches as often as I want, and there'll be no cost. That's what you see right here, no executor cost. So it's a fixed cost way of searching data extremely efficiently, very fast, getting the results and allowing you to build dashboards and charts all around this, which we'll show you as well. We'll do some charting next.
Nice.
Any questions?
No, that's great. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's see some charting.
All right. So I ran a search, and I see the results here. Maybe what I want to do is let's just sort this real quick. So we can just add a sort by, and you can see this count field right here in descending order. And I'll run that again. And again, it ran very fast, but now you can see it's sorted. And if I wanted to chart this as a column chart, that's one way. But because this is using a GeoIP MaxMine lookup database, we also support IP info. You can select map, and now you have your first visualization built from the search that you see here in front of you. So what I'm going to do for this example is I'm going to cut off all this search and just run a search with raw events. And then we're going to build really cool dashboards from there. So here, I ran a search. It took 1.4 seconds to search an hour's worth of data. You can see the event, all the various fields that have been extracted out of that event. I'm going to select my actions. And here I have the option to save a search. And I'll just call this my base search, also known as parent, just so you can see it right there. That's the search, nothing else to it. Now, if I needed to run this or share this with multiple people, as well as schedule this, maybe I want to run this every hour. Maybe it's firewall data and I wanted to transfer this data into cache for the purpose of very fast dashboarding. I could choose to run this hourly, and also I can choose to keep as many results of that run, so 24 hours worth of results, all in cache so that I can basically jazz up and speed up my dashboards to be extremely fast, even faster than what Lakehouse can provide. When you save a search, you can also trigger notifications, like where the count of results is greater than 20, maybe we're searching for error, and you want to trigger sending the results to any number of destinations, webhook, like ServiceNow, PagerDuty, Slack, mobile text messaging, push notifications, as well as emails. Very flexible capabilities. But in our scenario now, we're just going to build a dashboard.
Oh, neat. So is it possible to add in more ways to notify out?
Yeah, absolutely. When you have chosen to save a search and schedule it based on whatever schedule you prefer, when you trigger a notification, you just simply select, you can see here, create. And now you can not only use these defaults, but you could also send a webhook back through Cribl Stream and then send this alert to any one of the 50 plus different destinations that Cribl Stream would support. You can do it directly from search or send it back through Stream, your choice.
Okay, so webhook's going to be that way to integrate with things that we don't have as defaults. Very cool.
Yes. So what we're going to do now is create our first dashboard. We've created a very base search, a parent search, and we're going to select add to dashboard. Now I'm going to create a new dashboard. I'll call it AWS. Actually, you know what's fun? Yeah, I'll just call this Access Common, and I'll give this title of Raw Logs. And we'll just select Add and go to Dashboard. So now there's your dashboard, but maybe you don't want this to be a map in the beginning because it is raw data. So you can edit your dashboard and edit your panels. And instead of a map that you see right here, maybe I just want this to be events. There we go. Now we can see our events right here. Once I do that, you can save it at any time. I might want to say, but on this interactive dashboard, where's the interaction? I want a time picker. I want some customization to this dashboard. So I'm going to add an input. And one of the inputs you can select here is a time range picker. But you can also select text. You can select a drop-down selection. You can select a numeric value as well. So I'm going to select time range. And while this is set to 1 hour, maybe I'll make my default 6 hours, something like that, and hit save. Now that this time picker is set up, and let's give it a name, time, and we'll pass the value as a token, which is our input ID. And I'll just call this also time, back to this panel over here. How do I do that? Well, all you have to do is select the pencil on this panel, pick the time range, link it to your time range picker, and hit apply. No code, no having to open it up as, in some special configuration and edit it. It's all done through the UI.
I love how easy this is.
Well, we're going to go beyond that. Yay, we have some raw events. I want to do much more than that. So what I can do is, knowing that this is my parent search that drives all the results on this dashboard, let's add a visualization. And I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to resize this. And this first chart, I'll select the pencil right here. I'm going to change it so that it's going to be using the raw logs as the parent search. And you can see once I selected that, the time range was already attached to this parent. So I don't have to do anything with time. But now I want to enhance that. So you can see here, I have it saved in my buffer, that it's going to run the parent search first. The results are already going to be done. And then I'll limit it for this purpose of this demo to 1,000 results. And I'm going to chart it all out. So if I run this search, now you're going to see that the parent ran, and for some odd reason, it didn't run that. Oh, sorry. I forgot my pipe right there. Search.
One quick question. So is this the equivalent, like in Splunk, of having a base search that powers all the panels on the dashboard?
Yes, a base search attached to post-process search like you see right here is exactly that. And this is a simple map right here. So we're going to call it map, but this doesn't look like a map. So you can just change this right here to different visualizations that we already support, like area, scatter, column, but this is a map. So we'll select map. And now we have our first chart with a map of the results from down here.
I like how it sets up essentially that foundational search to make this more efficient by default. You don't have to go into the code and do it yourself.
Right. There's no need to go to the code, but if you are a code monkey and you wanted to, you can certainly edit as JSON, and you can see all of our config for this dashboard is saved as JSON. It would be as simple as that.
I just like how approachable it is. You don't need a very highly technical set of skills in order to configure this dashboard and get value, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, all of us came from a big data background. You, me, from the Splunk days, and we're very familiar with the pain that people would go through having to take many, many classes to configure dashboards. And they were very advanced and also very expensive. Within Cribl, all the searching, all of the dashboarding, all of the product training is 100% free forever. So you can take our sandboxes on sandbox.cribl.io or go through our Cribl University classes and never worry about additional spend when our goal is to give you a product that you can leverage and give yourself the power of choice and control over your data without worrying about how much training is going to cost to use that said product.
And even better, the user experience is so easy that you can start picking it up and get value really quickly. I love that.
Yeah, it's extremely great how fast it is to intuit this. Like just by being naturally curious, you can say, what's these 3 dots? Oh, I can clear my cache. Let me clone this. Maybe I want to take this. Look, I'll drag this up next to it. And I don't want 2 maps. Let's just edit this cloned panel. And we'll change this panel right here to be something completely different. They're both using the parent search. And I have this chart right here. But let's take all this off. And we'll just do let's just do a count. Oops, I'm in all uppercase. Look at that. It showed me the lowercase version right there. And I'm going to change this to just count. That's the title. And change this to a single value. And that's funny because I haven't run the search yet. So now that we've run the search, and you can obviously tell it's limited to 1,000. Let me just take that off so you can see how many events do I really have. Run a search. Oh, pipe would help. Let's do that. There we go. And there you go. So is that fast? And maybe you want to, drag this down a little bit or up, something like that. Move your counter over. Very easy to customize the dashboard to suit your needs, resize things, add additional charts, or maybe even choose to be able to do some interaction. And maybe if I were to, let's go ahead and do it, clone this. And now we have another panel right here. And maybe this one here is going to be a table or something like that. So let's just do a render table so you can see what that looks like. Oh, I picked the wrong one. Look how fast that was, by the way. Let's cancel that. Let me get out of here, exit.
It's great that this is also, it's optimized. It's optimized, the default workflow creates optimization.
It really does. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't have to get a PhD in search and dashboarding to use the product. From day one, the product has been designed to be very easy to use, very easy to customize, be able to, for your specific needs. and change all the formats of your panel visualizations just by selecting various things like you see here, like a table. There you go. And then be able to search this and interact with it by selecting that if I were to select anything within this table, maybe I want to run it as a separate search in a separate tab. Or maybe I want to take whatever I've selected and then pass it off to a different dashboard for investigation, passing the time across and things like that. It would be very easy to customize it so you can interact with other solutions, or again, just so you can see it real quick, run a new search, and maybe I choose the same data set right here. You can see data set is access combined right up there. So I'll basically type it right here. And look, type ahead right there. So I could do access. Look at that. Access common right there. And I'll just pipe it and I'll just say, render table in a different search. So once I do that and I save this, if I were to select anything here, then it would just pop open a new tab and run that search that you just saw me type in and display the results below.
That is too cool. So, David, we're starting to run out of time. Is there anything you want to close out for the audience? Anything? Because, oh, by the way, I'm going to kidnap you. We're going to do this again really soon. But is anything you want to share with the class? Just to, any summaries, any things to look forward to in the near future?
I mean, the one thing I really think that we're getting ready to release is one of my favorite new things, which is under dashboards here. And you can see that I have many dashboards and I have many different collections or categories where I've saved my dashboards. We're getting ready to release Lake House that you've seen me talk about a little bit in this example, but I didn't really show you the power of how it compares to traditional object storage searching compared to fast cache searching. So I'm going to click on this dashboard right here. And I'm going to open up this completed dashboard. Now on the left side is object storage searching of Lake, and the right side is done. I mean, that's it. It's done because it used our cache. Now you see these are already filled out. They're already complete. They're not running. But on the left side, you can see that searching object store where it's never been indexed before, it's searching in place. You see these are still running, and they're going to take a little bit longer to run. So Lake House is the newest entry into the suite of powerful products that we provided to allow you to do your job more efficiently and effectively. And so I'm looking forward to when we release Lake House attached to Lake in the very near future.
Yeah, I can't wait. So let's plan on doing this really soon, where we spend half an hour on Lake House.
Absolutely.
Hey, that sounds great. Hey, and also, David, you're really active in the Cribl community, aren't you?
I am. Yeah,
So
Cribl Slack.
yeah, if anyone has questions, go to cribl.io/community, join the Cribl Slack community, and ask questions. We want to hear your feedback, good, bad, indifferent, something. Let us know what you want. Let us know what we can fix. The idea is we want to try to make everything is easy to use. Get the tools out of the way of you getting your job done, because we appreciate everyone. We appreciate everyone in the community. We appreciate our customers. We just appreciate everyone who's given us their time to just show off what Cribl's been doing.
Yeah, and you can find me as David in Cribl community. Just search for me.
That sounds great. Hey, so let's look for David soon. I really appreciate everyone's time, and we're gonna have him back again to do some more demos for search. Thank you. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Oops.